And what are the things that specifically grab these days, that specifically grab your attention?
Specifically grab my attention? I would say if it's...
What's different about those, or what's the same? Because, you know, you're saying I should pay more attention to things on the other side of the world. Like, what? Do you find people around you use that word should? Like, where's that come from? Like that, oh, I should be, I should do, I should, as opposed to I just do. Where's that come from? When you were talking earlier, I had this idea that you were just really motivated by this self-improvement for the sake of connecting with God. But now you just threw in a wrench into it, saying it's, well, yeah, but I feel like I should do that. I'm like, what about that is should? And what I'm hearing from people, especially your age, but not even especially your age, everybody, what I'm hearing is that people are just overwhelmed with information and overwhelmed with so many things that are happening in the world. This is going on and that's going on, and then suddenly it's here and this country and that country and one thing after another. Some are good, some news is good, some's bad, most is in between. News, by nature of being news, tends to be negative because news tends to be things that are rare. And so, you know, negative things are more rare than positive things. And so that's just kind of how it is, right? So that's why we hear this. But anyway, a lot of people are saying that they can't focus on what's going on. But people are focusing on something. Okay, so with all of that in mind, what's grabbing your attention?
I always hear a lot about like the Israel conflicts because I'm Jewish, and I feel like for me, a lot of the things I hear isn't really about what's actually happening in the Middle East, but it's more like I see a lot of like media, like very anti-Semitic media, like just because, like, I don't know, yeah.
So for you,
yeah.
When you hear, you see anti-Semitic media, or you see people referencing?
Like, I feel like when I hear people talk about the conflict with Palestine and Israel, a lot of it, like, is not, like, neutral. It's more, like, Jews are bad.
I think a lot of things grab my attention, but I would say that I put a filter through all the things that are going on. For example, back in June, when we were first having talks about like this war with Iran and like World War III and whatnot, I was very overwhelmed. One, because I was like on vacation for my birthday. And
wait, when was this?
This was around June-ish, like June of 2025.
Last
yeah,
June.
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
People are talking about World War III. I mean, people have, been talking about World War III for a long time. But what I found was that I just really couldn't take all the stuff that was going on. And so I pulled away, and I made a decision to delete Instagram, to delete TikTok, to delete all the social medias that were going on. And I would see glimpses of what was going on from my parents having the TV on at home, but I set up a filter so that I would hear about things kind of like outside of my own willingness, if that makes sense. And on individual takes, I have my own respective stance, and I found that to be much more calming.
And what are the things that specifically grab these days, that specifically grab your attention?
Specifically grab my attention? I would say if it's trending, generally more often than not, it would grab my attention more than something that's not being talked about widely.
So for you, it's really whatever you're hearing over and over.
Yeah, it's like the top 5 things that are being talked about.
I'd say genuineness. Whenever I see genuineness, it does grab my attention.
Wait, genuineness, what do you mean? Among
people, among stories, just in general, when I see genuineness, it grabs my attention. When I see people act honestly, it causes me to think about that, that will take a percentage of my thought process, I'll be thinking about that for part of my day.
All right, do you have an example that you've seen recently?
Say someone goes out their way to help me, that will stick with me in my brain.
I honestly don't really even know what's grabbing my attention right now. Obviously, like, I'm noticing the war in Iran. Saw that we killed their supreme leader, which I'm actually pretty happy about that because he killed a lot of his own people, and I feel like he was definitely a good target to take out.
don't think too big. Just like, what are the things that when you see it, you click on it. You're just going to click on it.
There's stuff about my major or like sports stuff. I like to send a lot of sports stuff to my friends.
So did you follow the basketball?
Oh yes, we watched it at my buddy's apartment last night.
Okay, so if you see a story about the Final Four games or whatever, or the championship game, like that's something you're clicking on. Let's just stick with sports as an example. What makes that interesting to you?
I mean, I have like a lot of teams and like the major leagues in America, that I like to follow. I don't know, like I've grown up playing sports, so like it's just something that's always had my interest.
So there's something about it that you tie back to being a kid, and it's something that you do. Then it becomes a passion for you in some ways. And it's important? What makes it important for you?
More important than it probably should be. Like I should be focusing on like other things, because sports is honestly just like a getaway, from like life. Like it's like an escape from like what's going on in the news, and like when you're working a job or like.
Can I ask you a question though? What's going on in the news on the other side of the world? And what's going on with a sports team that you don't know? You never met any of the players on the Pirates. You don't know who they are. You wouldn't know them if you tripped over them mostly. You know what I mean? Maybe you would, but whatever, right? And what's going on there, and what's going on the other side of the world? What's the difference? What's different about those, or what's the same? Because you're saying I should pay more attention to things on the other side of the world. Like what? What?
I mean, like in sports, like it's very rare that people are dying in it, but like on the other side of the world, there are like a lot of people like dying from like in like Iran and like all these other like countries,
including world leaders.
Yes.
But so dying isn't necessarily a problem.
No.
If there's someone that you think you don't like. Right?
Yeah.
Because you said it right. All right. I'm not putting you on the spot on that. I just wanted to point that out. What do you think you should be focused on?
I think you should be focused on developing yourself.
That's it? That fundamentally?
Yes, I think you should be focused on developing yourself through getting closer to God.
Why? How do you come to that? Like, what makes that valuable or interesting to you?
Because the more I've tried to develop myself, the more I realized I can only develop myself through getting closer to God.
What might that look like for you?
Bettering your character and checking your intentions. Asking yourself why you do the things you do, why you have the thoughts you have. Always questioning yourself.
What differences do you think there might be between how you maturing in your relationship with God might look like versus me as a Christian who believes in Jesus for maturing in my relationship with God?
Okay.
Yeah, what parallels
good.
and what differences do you think
All
there
right.
be?
Okay, that's good.
Honestly, I don't know. I've never been a Christian, so I don't know what it looks like for you. I know what it looks like.
What do you imagine it looks like? What you've seen? What do you imagine it looks like?
I can imagine it's a similar idea, trying to better yourself for God so you can be a better person and ultimately reach heaven.
Why do you want to be a better person? Like what?
Because it makes you more at peace,
What grabs my attention are the things that I perceive to allow me to grow spiritually with God. And that brings greater peace to me.
So you said like people should focus on getting closer to God to build like your character as a person and become a better person. Why do you say that when someone could like do that on their own without having to follow God or religion?
Honestly, I don't know. I can only talk on my personal experiences.
Okay.
But for me personally, I have only been able to better myself and find peace when I connect it to God. If I don't connect it to God, I haven't been able to find any peace.
You're saying, sports are really grabbing my attention. And Latham here is saying, God's really grabbing my attention. How is that for you? Sports, God, I recognize that.
It should be God first. I need to do a better job of getting closer to Him.
What grabs your attention, though? How old are you?
I'm 20.
So you're 20. So so you have that belief But what's grabbing your attention are things like whether the Pirates are going to have a winning season, right? That's the thing you're going to click on. An article about, the Pirates just acquired 2 brand new relief pitchers, and like, oh yeah, man, that's what you click on. You could be praying, but you're not.
I do pray every night.
Okay. But you could be praying every day too, right? Every moment that you're reading about the Pirates, you could be praying.
True.
So how do you hold that at your age?
I feel like since I went to college, I haven't been as close to God as I should be.
Okay.
And I've been following other stuff that, it's good because,
I want to ask you, I'm going to cut you off here really fast. So you said should several times. First off, I want you to know, I don't think there's any shoulds. I think you should, if you want to click on stories about the Pirates instead of go pray, click on stories about the Pirates, man. Who knows, right? That may be how you come closer to the divine. I don't know, but you said should several times. Do you find people around you use that word should? Like, where's that come from? Like that, I should be, I should do, I should, as opposed to I just do. Where's that come from?
opportunities or something that we, got to do. But sometimes we like to push it off, and I feel like sometimes we're oh, I should go, clean the dishes, but I'm going to wait till later.
Okay, well, listen,
because I'm doing something else right now.
Okay, all right. Latham, how often do you use the word should with regard to the thing that is so important for you? How much are you doing it because you feel like you should do it?
A lot.
A lot?
I'm doing it because I feel like I should do it, and I feel like I have to.
Oh, my God.
There you go.
Oh, hang on now. You just opened up a whole new can of worms here. When you were talking earlier, I had this idea that you were just really motivated by this self-improvement for the sake of connecting with God. But now you just threw in a wrench into it saying but I feel like I should do that. And I'm like, what about that is should?
I feel like it's a constant battle between myself and getting better to God.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're battling. Who are you battling? Who's battling?
Me, I'm battling myself.
You're the part of you that wants to do something else.
Correct.
Like drink alcohol?
Correct.
So you're here at Penn State where more than a few of these people out here drink alcohol. Mm-hmm. None of the Muslims, by the way. I know none of you drink alcohol. You're all good, right?
In what ways is it mentally taxing, if it is mentally taxing, to live your life, I guess, following God's rules or God's expectations? You're going to do something wrong. We're all human.
So to what degree is it mentally taxing to try to do that?
It's very mentally taxing, but I think it's more mentally taxing to not go through that constant battle and then get the outcomes that come from your actions.
Okay. All right. Do you relate to this at all?
Not really, because I'm Jewish, but I'm not very religious. I feel like in my family, because of where they come from, my dad wasn't really free to practice Judaism, and my parents, my mom, I don't know, she just really didn't. So my parents aren't very religious. So when they immigrated to the U.S., they kind of started, but I don't know that they really believe in what the Torah teaches. It's more the cultural stuff of connecting and doing the holidays and celebrating with your family. So for me, I'm not really pushed to connect religiously or anything.
Do you even conceptualize God? Do you even?
I guess I would feel I'm not really Jewish religiously, more culturally. If anything, I think I would just say I'm agnostic.
So did you relate to what I said about me being the rabbi? Do you know what I meant by that?
Well, yeah, I've had a bat mitzvah and everything.
Yeah, okay, but you get the idea of challenging and constantly. Yeah, it's pretty cool actually. The two of you, the two Christians, I feel like there's something unique. The way you conceptualize a relationship with Jesus, with the Christ, is really cool. The way it sits there, right? Prayer as a Muslim, when I'm in a mosque and I pray as a Muslim, man, there's nothing like that. It is so cool. It just feels like I'm just connected to humanity. But in my mind, I'm Jewish, man. I'm like, I want to just be bad. You put five Jews in a room and you have 100 opinions. You know what I mean? It's just like, I want that back and forth thing all the time in my mind. Where you're at, and I was christened as a Christian, you know what I mean? I'm all for the discourse. Yeah, no, I got you. No, it's not that Christians are. It's just that there's this unique way it's embedded in Judaism.
What you're doing is right, especially since it seems like there's I should. When is I understand? When is that point for you, and how was that point for you?
Basically, you were born into it. The reason he knows is because he was born into a Christian family. Had he been born in Saudi Arabia as a Muslim, he'd be Muslim. You know what I mean? Wait, how is it to know that? No, hang on. He'd be born a Muslim. Can I ask you a question? Can you answer his question?
I feel the straight path is not really straight. I feel it's a self-correcting path, and it's more like a zigzag, first of all.
Yeah. I like that. Totally, man. Yeah.
But I feel like the only way I know is just the peace I get, you know? Like, I can't give you, like, a factual answer and, like, write it down in front of you.
But you know if you were born in... Wait, where are you from, bro?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh? If you were born in Pittsburgh, you'd be wearing this shirt here, right?
Yeah, I'd probably be a Christian.
Yeah, you definitely would be a Christian. Wait, but who's your favorite soccer team?
Manchester United.
Manchester United. Yeah, of course, right? Yeah, right.
Why are you laughing?
So if you were this guy, you'd be Manchester. Yeah. All right, hang on. We're going to go in a different direction.
Yeah, so something from this conversation that grabbed my attention was specifically Adele, because I'm also from Southeast Pennsylvania and Jewish, but more agnostic, more culturally aligned. And you said what grabs your attention is, like more recently, is the news with Israel and, anti-Semitism, or what you perceive to be anti-Semitic. And I'm just wondering, since you identify as more agnostic, obviously you've been through the rituals, but how do you connect to the conflict and more specifically the commentary on the conflict? Like why does that affect you in such a way when you're not actually, very religious?
I feel like I don't really connect with the Israeli people because that's not where any of my family's from.
Yeah.
So like when I hear people just blaming Jews, like I'm scared to tell other people I'm Jewish because like I'm nervous that they're just gonna like associate me with like violence and stuff, and I'm like, I don't agree with it.
Yeah, exactly. No, like these. Oh, yeah, okay, cool answer. That's a cool answer, right? Yeah, because you're culturally Jewish, so it's like, and biologically, I mean, I'm assuming you trace your lineage through your mother, and so okay, yeah, so you're Jewish. Just like these two guys. It's a lot of stuff we could be saying about the Christian invaders right now, who the Christians are the ones who are dropping the bombs over on the other side of the world, It's not, Jews are bombing too, but Christians are bombing, so it's like, yeah, you guys. And bro, I'm not even going to talk about Muslims, man. This is what you take.